that idea of having somebody kind of like help protect your eyes and your ears from things you don't necessarily need to see is brilliant. Well, hello there, my friends. Welcome back to the podcast. Excited to chat with you today. Wouldn't it be weird if I ever come on here and say I am not excited to chat with you today? Because I always say I'm excited to chat with you today. Hey, look at this. My brand new shirt from Eve matches my sign behind me that I know some of you have asked what that sign says. If you're watching on YouTube, you see the sign I'm pointing to. It says she remembered who she is and whose she is, meaning, I'm a God girl, love Jesus. And the game changed. And so got that years and years ago from, what was the name of the company? This is not in my notes, so I'm just like winging things here. Walls of Wisdom, Wisdom of Walls, Walls of Wisdom, Walls of Wisdom. There you go. There you have it. But my shirt matches that I had them make for me. So fun. All right, listen, we have a fun topic today, and the title may not totally make sense. Okay. So we might change the title by the time this goes live, but as it sits right now, I'm titling it like the ways that my team insulates me in business. What I really want to do is make like a little like caveat at the bottom and like ways that you should consider being insulated too. And so here's how this podcast episode came about. And I always love giving you guys just the tiniest bit of backstory. So on episode number 449, that was just recently out. Let me see what that topic was. We had it on YouTube where we have all the podcasts so you can watch if you are a visual person. It's about, oh yeah, how to handle negative comments on social media. That's what it was about. And I talk about like, what's the difference between a troll and just a negative comment. I talk about like what you should do when you get negative comments, what I personally do, etc. And I was saying on there, like, sometimes if I am concerned that a post on social media is like headed in a certain direction, feels like people are getting a little freaky, feels like there could be trouble, feels like, there's a couple comments I think we need to kind of watch. Sometimes I'll ask one of the ladies that's on Team Allwood, hey, will you keep an eye on this for me? Because number one, I don't want to babysit the post. And number two, I want to kind of protect my heart. And so I said on that podcast, if you would like to know more ways that I have asked my team to basically like help insulate me from things in business and ways that they have come up with to insulate me, like, let me know. And a couple of you said yes. So that is what we are talking about today. I'm going to kind of give you some of the things that my team does to insulate me and things that I've put into place to make sure I am insulated. All right. And I want to tell you like how that even kind of came about, because this has been, quite a few years in the making. Obviously when it was just me and I was a one-man band, there was no insulation. Like I had to read all the comments. I had to do all the things, right? But I remember back when I owned the Magic Brush here in Kansas City and I had the painting company, I had a client who she was like the first one to kind of talk to me about this idea. And we weren't even talking about business per se. We were talking about in her personal world, how she had something happen that kind of led to her taking some measures to insulate her and her husband. Essentially, they had a kiddo who had gotten a divorce, and they had people that were like sending them things in the mail. I don't know if people thought they were helping or whatever. But so this person that I know said she basically had somebody else kind of go through their mail for a while, just so that she wouldn't have to feel that triggering of maybe seeing something. She had the person like open it up and read it and determine if it needed to actually get to her eyes or not. And I thought that is such a baller move. Like that is just so, so good. And when I think about like my own brain and mind and how things work, I feel like, I'm pretty good at taking some hits on social media. I have talked to you guys, especially in that last podcast on 449, about negative comments, about how you just have to grow like a little bit of a thicker skin. I mean, the larger your platform gets, the more you're going to have that. There are other times though, when I know just the internet is a really negative and ugly place. And I remember when I was talking to her thinking that idea of having somebody kind of like help protect your eyes and your ears from things you don't necessarily need to see is brilliant. And it actually would be so brilliant in business, because here's the truth. Business is hard enough without getting the opinions of people who literally don't have your best interest at heart, who literally are keyboard warriors, who literally are sitting behind a keyboard and are typing things they would never have the guts to say to your face. And so business is hard enough. And then you put that with it. And it's interesting how you can get 99 positive comments. You get one that, talks about how they hate your big hair, or are you Dog the Bounty Hunter's wife? Or did you forget to rub in your eyeshadow? Or are you a crackhead? By the way, those are all comments I've had on my social media. And that can derail you for days and weeks. If you don't know what I'm talking about, like, just know that as your business grows, those sorts of things, they really do happen. And so I remember, after I talked to that client of mine, thinking there are some ways that I could be and possibly should be insulating myself in my business. Why? Well, as my team grew and my online platform grew and my business grew, like, it's helpful to have some insulation. And again, I'm going to give you a bunch of examples of how I'm insulated, to help protect my heart, to help lessen my stress level. If you did not listen to the 2 episodes that I had recently about nervous systems, like, you need to go listen to those, like, right now. Let me see what the number those were. 444 and 445 are the number of podcast episodes. Like, go listen to those immediately. I talk on there about how your body really does keep score. And for a long, long time, I've pushed on the gas really, really hard in my business. And in the last several years, I would say 4, 5, 6 years, I've just seen what having a particular level of cortisol, a particular level of stress, a particular level of fight or flight all of my life is now, like, how it's kind of catching up to me. And so when my team puts some things in place to insulate me from things that I don't need to know about, or things that would be more harmful to my mindset than helpful, it helps in all those ways. Also, we have figured out that in some of the ways I'm about to give you that my team insulates me, it helps my team to be able to go faster, to make decisions without me, to not have to wait for me to respond to things because they're just responding in the moment versus, hey, we need to share this with Jen, see what she wants to do. And then I'm mulling it over, for 72 hours and nothing's happening. Does that make sense? So last reason, though, I think it's really good if you have people working with you and for you, to put some of these insulation types of things in place, is because it gives your team also, like, some autonomy in decision making. They feel like they have ownership over certain things in the business, and they know that here's what we need to go to Jen with, and here's what we don't. All right, so I'm going to give you some ideas, some things that we do, and I had like 4 or 5 things I was going to share with you guys, and then I asked Nell and McKinsey, who, are girls who have worked with me for a long, long time. I'm like, okay, remind me, what else am I not thinking of? And they gave me some things too. Okay. So let me give you some, for instances. Anytime somebody is, wanting, demanding, insisting on a refund, I put in place a long time ago that if it is under $500 and you're on my team, like, you make the decision. Like Mandy, who does all of our billing, if it's under $500, like, you don't need to come to me with that. I want you to be able to make the decision because it insulates me from, one, having to think about and have an open loop. Like, my brain's thinking about something that, it's really like under that $500 price point. It's really like a lower level charge, right? So Mandy, since you do the billing, like, you just decide. Nell, you decide. McKinsey, you decide. But I don't need to know about it if it's under $500. And by the way, there are still times when things are over $500 that they don't come to me with. And I'm okay with that. Because again, I don't need to know all the things, and I shouldn't know all the things. Because I think that as business owners, we have to keep in mind, you only have so much brain capacity. I've only got so much capacity as a wife, as a mom to 4 children, as a woman who's trying to take care of her body physically and work on, restoring her nervous system. And I have this business. We have 2 rental properties. We have Jason's golf apparel business. Like, there's only so much that I can think about before, like, my brain just wants to explode. And so for some of you, you're like, yeah, but I want to know all the things. Well, why? Because that really comes back to, like, pride and ego. For a lot of you, you should have, and you do have people who work for you and with you. They could make these decisions, but you feel like your hand has to be in every single decision in your business, and that's keeping you small. The sooner you can let go of the reins and let the people that you have hired do the work that you have hired them to do and make the decisions for the company and put your trust in them, the sooner you can do that, the bigger and the better and the faster you're going to grow. I'm just telling you, it's true. Okay. So that's one thing we do. Second thing we do, my team does not send me all the negative feedback that we potentially get. Phone calls, emails, um, comments on Facebook ads. They just don't. Because the truth is that, yes, I think having some perspective on, if I'm being completely tone deaf and I have posted something on social media and we've gotten emails and phone calls, like I need to know that, right? But I'm talking about like the one-offs or the couple of people who are complaining about something or the one nasty email that we get. Like, I don't need to know all of that. I don't. And the truth is it's because I know myself well enough to know that as someone who used to absolutely be a people pleaser, I know that that can derail me. And I don't need derailed. Right now, I've got to trust that my team will handle the one and I continue serving the 99. Does that make sense? Like if I have a couple of one-offs, 1, 2, 3, 4, people who are upset, don't like my hair that day, wish that they'd never heard the sound of my voice, think that my programs are terrible, like whatever, my team can take care of that. And I need to let them do that. What I need to be really uber focused on is what is God calling me to right now? How am I serving my clients and my team and my family to the very best of my ability? And so for me, like hearing all of the negative things, it's not helpful. It's literally just not helpful. So they insulate me from that. Nell, who is my director of operations, she insulates me from any conversations amongst the team or arguments, not that we have any arguments, but sometimes there's a difference of opinions and things. And unless it needs to be something where she taps me in, she takes care of it. I don't need to know all those things. That is part of her job, which she does really, really well. And so she takes care of all that. Whenever we have a live event, so we have a live event for my mastermind twice a year. Once a year in the fall, we're always in Kansas City. And by the way, if you've ever had any interest in joining my mastermind, you would like an application for that, please let me know. Our next live meetup is in November in Kansas City. And by the way, it doesn't matter what size your business is. You just have to have your business started. It has to have made some money, even $1. And you have to be willing to be coached and want to be around a group of women who are getting coached. And so you can go to creatorsnextlevel.com to get an application because my mastermind is called Creators Next Level. So go to creatorsnextlevel.com, get an application. When we're planning things like the live event for that in November, or in April, we had in Scottsdale. The November before that, we were in Kansas City. We were in Nashville the April before that. The one before that was in Destin. And so my team takes care of the majority of those details. The food, the timeline, handling all of the things with the hotel. Like they know they have a budget. They come to me if something's out of whack, if they need a final answer on something, if they want to make sure I like something, but otherwise they are insulating me from so many of the smaller decisions that they're probably actually better at making at this point, because I'm going to be like, well, I don't know. Should we have garlic roasted chicken or should we have sirloin tips? And then I'm like on this, now I'm Googling sirloin tips and now I'm Googling garlic chicken. And like, that is not a good use of my time. And not that it's, that it's beneath me. It's just that I have to like keep my eyes focused on the things that really only I can do in the business. So they take care of all those details. I am insulated from all that. They also insulate me by not putting any meetings on my calendar on Mondays, which are my creative days, or on Fridays, which are days where I am doing all the catch up from the week, preparing for the weekend, taking care of myself physically. I get a lymphatic massage every single Friday that I'm in Kansas City. I do my lashes every other Friday. Make sure I'm working out every single Friday. Like Fridays are kind of the day for me. And, especially during the school year before the kids are home for the weekend, et cetera. Of course, I'm still answering emails and on social and all those things, but they insulate me and just keep me free by not putting things on my calendars. So when I talked to Nell and McKinsey, I'm like, is there anything else that like I'm forgetting? And she said, yes, we don't bring most of the refunds to you at all. And she said, we don't bring many customer service issues to you at all unless they're at a level 10. unless there's somebody that's really upset and really needs for me to step in, because there are some times where problems and issues can be de-escalated if I am to step in. Because really what the person is complaining about is not the program, it's not the team, it's that they want my attention and they want to hear something directly from me. So sometimes it's really smart of my team to, tap me in, and then I can go ahead and handle that, and then it's kind of squashed. Does that make sense? But they try not to do that unless it's a level 10 situation. They always give me starting points. This is another way they insulate me from having to come up with everything from zero. So when you're like, what are you talking about, Jen? Okay, so we just had in my mastermind this morning, we had Adrienne Richardson, who has a podcast. She's a Facebook ads person. We are Power Play. She's amazing. So we had her in my mastermind this morning talking about Facebook ads. So whenever I get into any of my meetings with my mastermind, with my business breakthrough clients, with Inner Circle, I always have like announcements that need to be made at the beginning. I always have all of my teaching points. I always have like questions from members of the group. Well, my team never just makes me come up with everything on my own. Whenever I go into a meeting, they have always set me up for success. They've always insulated me by basically spoon feeding me information. Jen, here's the announcements at the beginning. Here's some wins that we need to celebrate inside of the mastermind. Here's some starter questions, so you don't have to think of everything from zero, but here's some things you might want to start with for questions. They even help me do this on podcasts. And then anything I want to add to it. And then here's how you could wrap things up at the end. It is so helpful to not always be starting at zero. I'm telling you guys, if you have not hired somebody to help you, like, you've got to get somebody on your team that can do things like this for you. Podcast episode 410 is where I talk about like doing a first hire and who some of your first hires could be for your business, why it would be helpful, how you should find them, etc. I actually was thinking, you know what I need? I need like a freebie though, because for some of you, I think maybe what you need first is a VA, for the majority of you probably, but maybe you need a project manager, and I could show you what that would look like. Maybe you need a social media manager. I wonder if like a quiz or something would be helpful for you guys. If so, let me know on Instagram, or if you're watching this on YouTube, give me a comment below. But anyway, last thing then from Nell is she said, whenever we come to you also with something that needs to have a decision made, we try to always make sure we're giving you 2 to 3 options, so that you're not having to sit through and think of things yourself. Like, for the next mastermind event, Jen, would you rather that we did a, dinner theater, or would you rather we went axe throwing? That, by the way, is not what we're doing in November, either of those things. So we've done both of those in the past, but so they come to me with options so that I don't have to think through, because listen, decision-making takes a lot of brain power. It just does. And it's not that I'm a prima donna. It's not that I'm above any of it. It's that I have hired people to come alongside me and to take the pressure of the business off of me, which they do, to take some of the decision-making off of me, which they do. And so that I can delegate, so that they can delegate, so that this company continues to run at the level that it has and to continue to grow, and it doesn't stretch me further. Does that make sense? Some of you are in desperate need of this. You need some things put into place to insulate you, because right now you are stretched so thin, and you are handling every negative comment, and you're handling every negative phone call, and you're being derailed by strangers on the internet. Your time is being spent making decisions that you should be passing off to someone else. Your heart is not insulated against the things in your business that are actually like messing with your head and causing you to stay really small. Listen, if that describes you, you got to find somebody to get on your team, for real. Go listen to that podcast episode 410. You've got to give somebody besides you the ability to make some decisions in your business. And I know what some of you are thinking, but nobody's ever going to care about my business the way that I do. Well, yeah, and I mean, yeah, God gave you the business. It's yours to steward. You can't expect anybody that you hire to stay awake at night thinking about your business the way you do. You just can't. They can maybe get close, but they're never going to have the pressure that you do, because it's the assignment God has given you. So if you're like, nobody's going to care about my business as much as I do, you're right. And still hire somebody. I got burned once 3 or 4 years ago by somebody who stole all my ideas. Okay, well, not everybody's going to burn you. Get better at hiring. I mean, it is such a small mindset to think I'm going to continue doing my business all by myself. It will keep you small. You can keep going all by yourself. it will stay small. And small usually means small in income and impact. So there's that. When I let my team make decisions and I don't need to know what all of those things are, when they're insulating me, it's protecting me and my heart. It's protecting me and my nervous system. It's protecting them, and just in terms of giving them the ability to make decisions in the business. And it allows them to go a lot faster because they're not waiting on Jen to take 72 hours to decide on how to respond, to a nasty gram that we maybe got in terms of an email. Like, they just handle it for me. And so, man, I hope that that was helpful for someone today. If so, would you just do me a solid? Send this podcast episode to another business owner that needs to hire help. I know each of you, if you're in business, you can think of one or two other people who could really use subscribing to this podcast every week, because they'll get some godly advice, some really practical tips, and it will help them to think differently about their business and about life. So if you'll forward this to one or two people, that would bless me immensely. And I will see you again on the next episode. All right. Bye-bye. I feel like now I just felt like I look like a turtle.